Good morning. This is a broadcast about the future of the Tshwane Metro, our nation's capital. What we've been seeing playing out on South African TV screens and the news media is a growing conflict of interest in South African public life. On the one side is a small, well-connected elite, a small group of people who depend for their wealth on access to high-paying government jobs, tenders, and contracts. This is the political insiders. On the other side of the fight is the common interests of ordinary South African people. These folks aren't necessarily wealthy. They don't make direct demands of benefit from government jobs and tenders, but they do want government to work, and they do want value for taxpayers' money. No government can serve both of these groups at the same time. You either have delivery or you have corruption. You either satisfy the growing needs and the consumption of this political insider class, or you deliver to ordinary people, build infrastructure, deliver value for money, and shut down corruption. Because corruption is not just a bad in and of itself, it is what is behind ever-increasing municipal bills, cost of living, the failure of service delivery, streets that aren't safe because street lights aren't maintained, and because the work that people get paid to do isn't, in fact, being done. The ANC represents the political insiders, a class of cadres in government and business who produce less and less for the public good and make more and more demands of public expenses. If there is a zero-sum game in South African politics, it is between the political insiders represented by the ANC and everybody else. It is a fight between people who expect value for what they pay for and cadres who expect to be paid regardless of their own performance. Between folks who want water in their taps and those who profit from providing water via tankers. Those who expect projects for roads and sewers and other municipal services to be done on time and on budget, and those who make money from contract extensions and allowances. The cadres are liquidating the state. They're using money that's meant to build infrastructure and services to feed consumption spending, contracted services. This has been going on for many years, but only recently a new generation of South Africans have been seeing what is going on. This fight between the cadre class and the common good of the South African people is also playing out in the Tshwane Metro, the municipal government of the nation's capital. A year ago, Herman Mashaba switched sides and placed the ANC back in power in Tshwane. He did so with the help of the EFF, and in doing so, Action SA has become, like many other smaller political parties, a mere proxy for the ANC. Instead of pushing back against the ANC's worst tendencies, Action SA have collapsed into the predominance of the ANC. At the time that this happened, I expressed serious concern about projects on which the DA and our coalition partners had been making significant progress, but projects which threaten the interests of the cadre class represented by the ANC and their proxy parties. The project to get clean water into the taps of the people of Hammanskraal, to break the dependence on exploitative and expensive water tankers, the case against the Rooiwal 5, the officials implicated in awarding an irregular tender to Edwin Sodi for the upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant that is polluting the water that is reaching Hammanskraal households, having Edwin Sodi and his associates blacklisted from doing business with government, the prospect of the new generation of city officials threatened in their project to create a new performance-driven culture in the city, and that threat is that they will be replaced by ANC cadres. In opposition, the DA has kept up pressure on all three of these fronts. The Hammanskraal water project has stalled, but I believe it can still be delivered. The Rooiwal 5, or Sodi's blessers, as the media has called them, can still be fired. Sodi can still be blacklisted from doing business with government. the new officials appointed under the DA and our coalition partners can still succeed in changing the organizational culture of the city. This is what the DA is pushing for, and we will continue to push for this. But it is also important to understand what we are pushing against. In the financial year that Dr. Nasipi Moya took the helm as mayor of Tshwane, the city has spent more on providing water tankering to areas with formal water reticulation than ever before in the city's history. In 2024, the last full financial year in which the DA and our coalition partners were in charge of Tshwane, the city spent 170 million rand on water tankers for places where the taps ran dry. With the takeover of the ANC EFF Action SA coalition, this spending has increased to 500 million. Let me make that clear. From 170 million for water tankers to 500 million. And that is only on the city's official figures. The DA has got serious grounds to believe that, in fact, in 2025, the city spent far more on water tankers, budgeting for taps to run dry, budgeting for the failure of the Hammanskraal water project. What happened between 2024 and 2025 is not a great drought or a water crisis of bigger proportions than we've had in the past. What has happened is an ANC EFF Action SA takeover. While the start of the Hammanskraal Clean Water Project should have reduced spending and dependence on water tankers, in fact, the opposite has happened. Now that they are in power, these parties in the coalition seem to be less spirited, less interested, less passionate about the plight of Hammanskraal residents. But if the mayor and her team were to visit Hammanskraal, they will meet with residents who will tell them that they are compelled to pay for water which the city is already paying for to be delivered free of charge. In 2024, Tshwane spent 307 million on security watchman services. In 2025, this budget increased to 565 million. In our last year in office, the DA-led coalition commissioned a review of this old-style watchman services security model, which is not only expensive, but ineffective at protecting substations and cable from theft and vandalism, which leave communities in the dark. Now, on Mayor Moya's desk is an investigative report that confirms that her ANC deputy mayor and MMC for Finance, Eugene Modise, benefits from one of these security watchman contracts, which the city recently extended by irregular means. She says she's waiting for the Speaker to table this report in the Municipal Council. The Speaker says he is waiting for a legal opinion. And while the ball is being passed from one member to the other of this ANC EFF Action SA coalition, Modise remains in place as MMC, the political leader responsible for shutting down corruption in supply chain management, for driving the financial recovery project of the city, for setting an example for officials whose behavior the political leadership say they expect to change. Despite the money that he makes off of this contract with Tshwane, his other company, which leases a property on which a lot of money is owed, cannot pay its bill, and there's no credit control happening on that property. In the meantime, other properties such as the Tshwane University of Technology is cut off because they owe a mere 5 million compared to the 23 million owed by Mzansi Resorts. Under Mayor Nasipi Moya's administration, water losses have increased by 4% and are now at 39%, again, the highest that they have ever been. Despite large-scale write-offs, the debtors book of the city continues to increase. Instead of undertaking savings and reforms to the administration to deliver better value for money, the city has introduced a city cleansing levy, which it can't explain. It's caused chaos in the city. It's plunged the billing division in complete chaos. The city has lost the case in court. But instead of increasing the actual spending on the cleansing of the city's streets, that budget has gone down. In other words, this tax has only been introduced to plug the budget deficit, which the ANC and their coalition partners have failed to address via good financial management. Money budgeted for a transactional advisor to get the city's power stations, Pretoria West and Rooiwal, in the hands of independent power producers has not been spent. As a result, those power stations, which by now ought to have been a far way along the road of energy independence from Eskom, have not in fact made any progress. At the recent investment summit, the same promises which were made years ago were rinsed and repeated by the government without showing any actual progress in this important project to procure electricity independent from Eskom, because that is key to pushing down people's energy bills. The plan to make Wonderboom International Airport available to private operators, to get private sector capital and expertise in there as a spur to the economy, has been abandoned. So has the project to appoint a dedicated streetlight team to light up the city streets and to roll out solar-powered streetlights. To distract from all of these failures, today Mayor Moya and her ANC and EFF coalition partners are having a big party. Buses bringing in party political supporters, sound systems, a whole production to feign celebration of successes so that an image can be projected of delivery and of success. But it is clear that there is very little to celebrate for ordinary people in the city of Tshwane. The cadre class has taken over. The tenderpreneurs, the folks who depend on water tankering expenditure, on the failure of infrastructure projects, and on the municipality not doing what it is supposed to be doing. That class is celebrating. Ordinary people are not. This, of course, will be followed by a lot of money being spent by Herman Mashaba and Action SA to justify what they have done in Tshwane. Social media influencers and bots will be deployed, but on the critical questions, the mayor will continue to dodge answers, will continue not to have clear solutions to the problems that we face. The DA's focus in opposition will be to continue to put pressure on this government to account, to not backslide on important achievements which we have rolled out. However, our main focus is on preparing a new government after the 2026 local government election, an opportunity for residents to have a say in who should lead the city. We will be continuing our listening tour, exposing the failures of government, but also talking to stakeholders and experts in different fields, communities, churches, civil society organizations, in order to collect material for the policy pledges which the Democratic Alliance will announce in the next few months, and which will provide a compelling alternative for ordinary South Africans, honest, hardworking people, in our fight against the cadre class that have destroyed so much of our country. Thank you very much.